as we said, two teams, both local teams, came into today still harboring playoff dreams. We'll get to the one that is still alive and actually in tremendous shape, that, of course, the Jets. We begin with the Giants, who took Giant Stadium today, knowing that they needed some help, but knowing first things first, they had to beat Carolina and then Minnesota next week to stand a chance to go to the postseason, something I never thought they'd do ever since they lost the San Diego game. But what I didn't realize was that they were going to close Giant Stadium as absolute dogs. This was one of the worst performances, not just in the Tom Coughlin era. This is one of the handful of worst performances ever played by a Giant team at Giant Stadium. It was utterly disgraceful, and it started out well. They get the touchdown called back, and after that, the game disintegrated every way you can count. They couldn't tackle Stewart. They were the worst tackling team you ever saw. They couldn't hold on to the football. Penalties, turnovers, everybody involved, and what you wind up with is really one of the worst games we've ever seen the Giants play in the last 25 or 30 years. I mean, to have a game like this off last Monday night, knowing that you're playing a team that's out of the postseason, you're playing a team that's already been eliminated, a proud team with some proud players like Peppers and Smith, who was, again, dynamic before he broke his arm. I mean, you're talking about what Carolina came in here and did was just embarrass the Giants. How about 24-0 going into the half? They come right out. You figure maybe the Giants will make a statement. Before you blinked, it's 31-0. 31-0 at home in their building in a game that is a must-win game against a team that has nothing to play for. It is almost inconceivable. I think the people sitting in the stands today were too stunned to boo as much as they wanted to. They could not believe what they were watching. We know this team hasn't been good. You know I've been very, very hard on this defense, and I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe in it after last week. But never did I think you'd see anything like you saw today. One of the real poor performances, past disappointing, a total embarrassment in the last game ever played, one this franchise will not forget for a long time, and embarrass Tom Coughlin.
To have what was potentially at stake for our team and to be playing at home, coming off a big win. Carolina had a big win last weekend, but did not have a chance to be in the playoffs. And for us to play the way we did today, there's obviously no excuse for it. We did not stop them. We didn't stop them on the ground. They had big plays against us. The pinnacle games that we have played, one of them being last weekend, been followed up by poor performance. And that's not how good football teams operate. We have to regain some kind of respect for the way that the game is to be played, and we have a short week. We have a week to get that accomplished.
All right, the week's worthless, let's be honest, okay? Maybe not to them, but to us, it is worthless. It's over now. Cowboys have eliminated them this evening. Here's the bottom line. There'll be people nipping at Tom's heels, the guys in town who have wanted Tom out for a long time. Tom's not going anywhere. He's earned the right to rebuild this one more team, but this was a very telling day and a telling finish to this season over the last 11 games. And what Tom's going to get a chance to do here is rebuild and take one more big 3-year, 4-year run at trying to win another Super Bowl. He's earned that, whether it's 3 years, whether it's 4 years, whatever it may be. And you know what? Today is going to signal that there's going to be a lot of players out the door, and there's going to be a whole bunch of assistant coaches out the door, and there should be, because it's time to take your nucleus, which includes some of those young receivers, which includes Tuck, which includes Eli Manning, which includes a couple other young players, but doesn't include some of the big name guys you've grown to really love, who it's time for them to go and start it with Umenyiora. Let's hear from him.
Disappointment is an understatement in everything. The way everything has played out this year, it's been absolute nonsense. And very disappointed, disheartened, discouraged, whatever you want to call it. I feel all those emotions.
OC, where did it get away from you, do you believe? Was it on the opening drive? Was it just a whole mishmash of things?
And I don't know, man. What did I play 5 snaps today? I don't know. I don't know what happened, man. I thought I was the problem. But it's an unbelievable situation, man. Last game in Giant Stadium, probably as a Giant, and just the way everything has unfolded, it's been unbelievable to me. I never would have dreamt this in a million years.
Should be the last game for him as a Giant. He's overrated, overpaid, and he was awful this year, and he undermined the defensive coordinator, who's got to go too. That's all there is to it. There's a whole bunch of people. They need to rebuild. They need new linemen on both sides of the ball. They need new linebackers. They got to straighten out their secondary problems. They have a core group. This is Coughlin's team. It's Eli's team. It's Tuck's team. It's Kenny Phillips' team if he comes back. It's Steve Smith's team. It's a couple other guys' team. I'm not going to name every guy here. There's a core to build around. There's a core of good players to build around, but there's a lot of changes in key spots that have got to be made and on the coaching staff. This is rock bottom now for this Giant team. Rock bottom for the Giants right now is in 3-13. Rock bottom was today. That, and there's a lot of guys and big name guys who it's time to have them hit the highway and get new blood in here. This is a team that is in need of an infusion of talent on that offensive line. The group, it's done. Linebacker, need new guys. You cannot have guys in the secondary being your leading tacklers. The guys Reese brought in this year were absolutely awful, a lot of them. They didn't get the job done. Reese has had the Midas touch, not this year. It's time to go back to the drawing board. Reese will, Coughlin will, and it starts tomorrow for this Giant team. All hands on deck next week to see who wants to stay a Giant. But this game signals the end of that era with the Super Bowl. But unlike some people who are going to call for Coughlin to be gone too, it's not going to happen, nor should it happen. But it's time for him to reload, rebuild, and take one more run as the head coach before he hands the baton to somebody else. This signals an end of what started with that run in a year before the Super Bowl, went through last year, which was disappointing with the loss to the Eagles after a great regular season, and culminated with this collapse this year. I saw the collapse after the San Diego game, so nothing after that surprised me. I never thought this team would make the playoffs, but no one, not me, on my worst day could have ever thought this team could play like it did today. They played like dogs. They should take their checks and hand them back. This was as bad as anything I've ever seen from the Giants. Okay, while that's going on for the Giants, the Jets needed a lot more help than the Giants did. They got all the help they needed. Everybody who they needed to lose, lost. Then they got the gift of gifts. Here they are. They're down. They get the return to start the second half. Big play. Get some energy into the building for the